Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Katie Taylor makes history and is a two-weight undisputed world champion after dethroning Chantel Cameron on Saturday night. Right, again, I'm going to have to eat humble pie. I didn't give Katie a chance. The moment the last fight finished, I didn't give her a chance in the rematch. I thought it was a bad idea to go for the rematch. I didn't want her to lose again in front of a home crowd. I didn't think she could physically win the fight. I thought Chantel was a bigger woman, too good, too big, too strong for her at this stage of Katie's career. She's 37 years of age. However, she proved me wrong. What a winner. What an absolute, just a winner, an icon. I mean, she's one of these very few sports people who can command a massive audience, and she doesn't have to mouth off, she doesn't have to talk all the time, she's not doing interviews. That's how much her country love her, and the fans around the world. And she's just an amazing person. You know, you just what? I mean, I'm in awe of her. Just what an absolute winner the woman is. But going into the fight, I didn't think she could win in a scrappy, ugly way, right? I thought her legs have looked very shaky the last few fights, the Serrano fight and the last Cameron fight. She's been caught on the ropes. She's not an inside fighter. She's quite awkward on the inside. You know, she's not going to tap you to the head and go to the body or slipping body shots. She just likes to grab hold of you. She's not a good inside fighter, and Chantel bullied her in the first fight, and Serrano was bullying her on the inside. And I just thought her foot speed wouldn't let her box from the outside, and she'd be dragged into a fight. I didn't think she'd be able to be strong enough to actually bully the bully, and that's what she did. Now, was it exciting to watch? No. Contrary to what people are saying, it wasn't the best fight you've ever seen. It was quite a poor fight. Don't get me wrong, it was exciting because of who's fighting, but it wasn't a great fight to watch. It was holding, it was clinching every minute, it was ugly, it was scrappy, but she did what she had to do to win. Now, there's a lot of people saying, well, she's got favouritism, Katie, and everything was against Chantel. Well, that's what life's like in boxing, right? I don't care who you are, right? The reality is, if you sell the tickets, if you're the golden cash cow, like Canelo is in male boxing, like Floyd Mayweather used to be, you get certain perks, certain advantages. I don't agree with it, but that's the way it is. So obviously, she's fighting in front of a hometown, right, a home crowd. She's going to get certain... it comes with the territory. That's what boxing is. I'm from the UK, and we can't talk about getting hometown decisions, right? We have become shamefully bad. We've taken over Germany and Italy in that respect, where we're bad with hometown decisions. There's been numerous ones from the UK, and so we can't cry if one of our fighters gets a bad decision. But it wasn't a bad decision. Katie won the fight, right? She won the fight. As I say, it wasn't thrilling to watch, but she did enough to win the fight. She was catching Chantel with combinations, and on the inside, Chantel didn't really look like she had a plan. I think she thought she was going to bulldoze through Katie. And a few weeks ago, I actually put on my social media, she was calling out Chris Cyborg. She was saying, after I'm done with Katie, I'll beat Chris Cyborg. And look, after the event, we're a genius, you know. But I think she was overlooking Katie. I think she thought she'd just turn up and just go through an aging legend. And that wasn't the case. You know, Katie clearly from the first fight went back, studied, and knew she had to come up with a plan to win the fight. Was it going to be pretty? No, but she had to win that fight, and that's what great champions did. That she won the fight. I think Chantel before the fight, she was saying she didn't want to do the rematch. Why should she do it? It's on Katie's terms. You signed the contract. Your team should have negotiated you to have the rematch somewhere else. You can't sign the contract and then complain about it afterwards. You knew what you signed. You knew you had to have the rematch in Ireland. You knew Katie Taylor is the cash cow. That's the way it is. So I just thought there was too much complaining from Chantel before the fight. It was like she didn't really want to fight Katie. The first fight, clearly she did. It was, you know, it was a legend. It was a big fight. But I think the second fight, she was forced into it, where Katie clearly went back, shut everything out, went to work, came up with a game plan. And it showed on the night. Chantel just didn't look like she had any ideas. She was just plodding forward. On the inside, she wasn't great. When she was letting her uppercuts go, she looked dangerous and she was hurting Katie to the body, but it wasn't enough. She neglected the body shots in the first half of the fight. And yes, Katie was holding and Katie was clinching, and she should have been told about it. I've seen fighters get disqualified for it. And in the end, Chantal was literally just, as soon as Katie grabbed hold of her, she was like this. Split me up so she can go to work. But she should have been cuter. She should have pushed her back. She should have tried to touch the head, touch the body, create angles, pivot, try and be smart on the inside. You know, she wasn't. She sort of got old-manned, even if it was a woman, old-womaned by Katie, and I'm surprised that Katie fought like that. I didn't think she could do that. You know, she's always been a warrior and she's always had that mentality, but she's never been a dirty, scrappy fighter, and she won that fight by doing that. And you have to hold your hands up. You can't not respect that, right? She won the fight. It was close. It was a lot closer than what one of the judges' scorecards had. What was it, 98, 92, or one of them? I mean, you can't. It was closer than that. The second half of the fight, Chantal was coming on strong. Katie was visibly tired and she was hanging on for dear life. But Chantal's job was to win that fight, was to not be nullified. Katie nullified her. She shouldn't have let that happen. It wasn't the best performance from Chantal. It wasn't a masterclass from Katie. It wasn't a Calzaghe Lacey. It really wasn't. It was a dirty, scrappy fight. But she did enough to win it. She proved me wrong, and I'm happy she got a day in front of a crowd, in front of adoring fans. I wanted to see that, right? However, the commentary from DAZN, which is my main point of this video. Now, I've been in two minds whether to post a video about this, because I was going to do it months before, right? And I thought, I don't want to come across as causing trouble all the time and be negative. And so I thought I'd let it slide, but I can't let it slide anymore. Now, the smart thing for me to do is probably not bring it up, or not bring it up in much detail. But I feel many media outlets won't, especially the mainstream. And I think it's important because this is a media outlet where we talk about things a lot of people won't. And the commentary from DAZN was absolutely disgraceful. And it's one man who's instigating this, and it's Mike Costello, right? He's a fantastic broadcaster. It was good on the radio. I've not been the biggest fan of his since he's been on TV. I think he describes what you're watching on TV as though you're watching it on the radio. But he's very good at what he does. He's very experienced. But he's instigating this. It's not one fight. It's not two fights. It's not three fights. It's every fight he's involved with. He's commentating with an agenda, and it's with the home fighter, the cash cow, the champion. Well, not the champion in this case, but the person who it benefits the promotional company and the broadcaster to win the fight. Now, I don't know if someone is briefing him and someone is saying to him, commentate a certain way. I don't know if he's doing it off his own back because he's got a cushy job. He might be thinking, I want to get here next year. I don't know. But he has to be told. We're paying, as viewers, we're paying a subscription, not just for the fights, for the production value, the quality. And DAZN's production value is very good. It's getting better and better. I've always said it's the future of boxing. I didn't think it's the future at the moment. There's been teething problems. There's been issues. I've always thought boxing should be on primetime TV. But I've always said this is the way sports is going. And you can't knock DAZN. They've had a great year this year. The content's good. The production's good. But the commentary is absolutely shocking, right? I don't want to watch a fight where I'm literally watching something and I'm thinking to myself, he's commentating he's talking about a totally different fight here. I know what I'm seeing, and this guy's commentating differently, right? He was so biased towards Katie Taylor. It was embarrassing. Now, it's not Katie's fault, but this guy needs to be dragged into the office, right, and shown that those 10 rounds and how he commentated. Because maybe, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's experienced. Maybe he doesn't know he's doing it. I don't believe that. But the way he was just glossing over Chantal's work, the most damning thing is the knockdown, right? So let me just picture the scene for you. The knockdown in the first round, it looks perfectly legit. I think he actually said, oh, fantastic, straight away. And then as soon as he realised the referee said it was a slip, he just glossed over it, didn't say a word. Even Andy Lee, who's an Irishman, said, I think it was a knockdown, Mike. Didn't mention it, wasn't interested in mentioning it, didn't ask for replays. Now, that's a pretty significant thing to happen in the fight, right? On one of the judges' scorecard, if that was a knockdown, Chantal would have won the fight. One of the scorecards was 95-95. That's classed as a knockdown. She's won the fight. Now, I've seen the replays after it. There was no replays during the fight. Now, that's come from DAZN. Now, that isn't Costello. That's from the broadcast team from DAZN. They deliberately didn't show that knockdown. Right? Because Costello isn't there pressing a button for replays to come on, but he should have insisted that we see it. It's a pretty big thing to happen, right? It's like a football game, big game, could be a Champions League final, and there's a goal, perfectly good goal, and it was offside, but we don't see any replays, and the commentators don't mention it. And you later found out it was a legit goal. There'd be riots. There'd be people saying, well, what are the commentators? The men are being partial. What's going on? He wasn't interested in mentioning it. It was a big thing to happen, right? And it looked like a legit knockdown. I've seen the replays, and it's a hard one because the way Katie goes down, it's like she lost the balance. And what Chantal did was she stepped in with a jab. Now, there's many ways you can throw a jab. You can do it on your back foot. You can step into it. You can do it from mid-range. There's many variations of the jab, but with this one, she stepped into it. She was spiteful with it, but as she stepped, I don't know if she stood on Katie's foot, but it's like she stood on it, but then the jab went through, then she fell over. So for me, it was a knockdown. You know, she never hurt Katie, but it had to be ruled as a knockdown. But for the commentary not to mention it, it's like, what are you doing? We're not stupid. We're watching it from home. Let us see the replay. I said that on my social media afterwards. I've still not seen the replay on DAZN from it. It was absolutely unbelievable. Now, the other commentators, Andy Lee, I think Barry Jones was doing it. This is not at them. Andy Lee's Irish. It is what it is. Do I think people so close to the fighters should be commentating? Not really. You're not really... You know, they're only human, right? But Andy Lee this is not Andy Lee, and Barry Jones, I've always said, is a great commentator. It's the instigator's Costello. He is the instigator because the lead broadcaster, the lead commentator, is the one where everything it goes through, right? Now, it's quite a specialist role. Not everyone can do it. You know, it's not hard. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but you need experience because you're trying to capture the atmosphere of the arena to the people at home watching it on TV. So there is a skill to it. But he's manipulating fights now, this Costello fella, right? And he keeps on doing it. And it's to the point where I'm going to have to turn him off. And it's not the first fight. There's many fights where he's involved. And there's many people on Twitter, there's fighters, ex-fighters, fans, who are saying the same thing. The commentary was biased. Now, if you're watching this, I want you to tag Eddie Hearn, DAZN in it. I want them to know. As I say, I'm not trying to hate on them, right? But they have to be told. They have to be told. The fans aren't fucking happy with this. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people, a lot of fans not happy because we're watching something and the guy's describing a different fight, right? Or he's only mentioning Katie Taylor's work. You know, she might throw a 5-punch combination and 4 might hit the glove and 1 might partially get through. And it's fantastic, brilliant from Katie. Well, it's not. Well, what about defence from Chantal? Chantal literally in one of the rounds landed, I think it was a 1-2, solid shot. Never mentioned it. Didn't want to mention it. Wasn't interested in mentioning it. It's disrespectful to the fighters, to the fans. You know, I'm not being funny. I'm saying about the hometown fighter. Chantal's a matchroom fighter. You know, she's a DAZN fighter. It was just, there's no excuse for it, right? And I think there should be a button where there's no commentary on. That's what this guy's making this turn into now. Because I like the commentary. It makes a difference. It brings entertainment, right? And I like to hear the noise of the fans. I don't want to sit there in silence and watch the fight. I like the noise. But there maybe needs to be a button where we can turn it off and it's just fan noise. Or he needs to be told, right? I'm sure people who know him probably think I'm being a bit of a dick, right? But at the end of the day, there's nothing I'll say here that I wouldn't say to the guy's face. And I will back it up. Believe me, go and get his fights up, analyse all of him, and you will see how the favouritism shines out. It's not normal. So who is telling him to do it? Is he doing it off his own back? Is he being told to do it? I'd like to think that doesn't happen. Now, DAZN aren't the only broadcaster who does it. Let's get it right. Every broadcaster, whether it's Showtime, whether it's Sky Sports, they have the home fighters, right? We get it, right? And I understand it. But when it gets to the point where you are deliberately doing it, you're commentating with a clear agenda, even with a fighter who's actually on your network, there's an issue. There's an issue, and I challenge anyone to watch that commentary on DAZN, whether you're Irish, English, Scottish, whatever it is, take away who you support, don't support, and watch it, and you tell me I'm talking nonsense, because I don't believe I am. Right, Mike Costello has to be told that commentary on Saturday night was unacceptable. It was disgraceful. Right, if I was Chantal's team, I'd be absolutely fuming. Now, people may say, well, it's got nothing to do with the fights and judges' scorecards, but it ruins the fight as a viewer. I don't want to listen to someone blatantly just calling what is not going on. Basically, just not calling the whole fight. He's just calling what he wants to put out, and it's just not good enough. It's not acceptable. And he has to be told about it. I don't care how long he's been broadcasting for, 5, 10, 50 years, it doesn't matter. It's not acceptable. It never will be acceptable. And I'm sick of turning it on with Mike Costello as commentator, and it's the same thing I'm getting. He's just doing it. He's commentating with an agenda. I've had enough of it. It has to be brought to the attention. So, as I say, tag anyone you want in this so they get to hear this. Because there's a lot of people going mad. And if you don't think it's true, go and put polls out on all your social media. All the ones with the big profiles. Go and say, was Mike Costello's commentary performance acceptable on Saturday night? Yes or no? And I guarantee you 90% say no. But what a night. What a night for Irish boxing. Gary Cully, I take my hat off to him now. He's getting a bit of stick. Listen, it was never going to look good in this performance, right? He's coming off a brutal stoppage loss in front of his home fans. That's the kind of loss, right, that can end your career. You can never, some fighters may never be the same again. You're in front of your home fans. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair to the bloke, what he did, knuckled down, he changed his training team, came to Liverpool under Joe McNally and Deco Rourke at Rotunda ABC. Phenomenal gym, real boxing people, right? And he went to work. You can see the style changes, which isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, right? But you can see he's sitting down on his punches more, and the glove is next to his chin, right? Because he was always open for a right hand, and he got the decision. I've not watched the whole fight. I was in and out. I was posting content. There's a lot of people saying that he lost, or it is extremely close. I didn't get the impression that he was losing when I was watching it, but I have to watch it back. But the things that I saw, it was decent, right? He wasn't going to look $1 million, right? It just wasn't going to happen. He's changed his whole life. He's come to Liverpool from Ireland, new training team, new country. You have to give a fight his benefit of the doubt. Let's see what he's like in 6 months, a year, 2 years. He's got the world in front of him. He's got a big fan base. Will he be a world champion? Who knows? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. What I do know is his coaches believe in him, right? He's got that mindset, right? You can tell that by how he changed things up, right? Some fighters might have sulked and you might not have seen them again for another year and a half or 2 years. Might have gone down a dark road. He changed things and got back in that same arena and got that victory. And you've got to respect that guy, right? Another guy who's been on the channel, actually, John Cooney, who's a friend of mine. What a performance. Now, if you watch my interview with Cooney when he was on there, I think it was last year at some point, last February, right? I said he's going to be on, when he gets on the big shows, he's going to stay there. He's an exciting fighter. He's a dangerous southpaw who can bang, right? I've seen him hurt people in sparring, right? And he fought Liam Gaynor, who's a tough guy, known to be durable, on the prelims, and knocked him out in the first round with a devastating left hand. He got up Liam, but then he finished the job off. Right? Phenomenal performance from John Cooney. Looked confident during the week. O'Rourke's gym has done a fabulous job with him. And it was a good performance. Many things can happen now for Cooney. There's a lot of fighters in the super featherweight division. I called for it last year, Michael Gomez Jr. I'd love to see that fight. It's a really good fight. The British title, you've got people at world level. Look, he still needs to gain that experience, right? You can't get ahead of himself. But John Cooney's going to be in exciting fights. I'm telling you, he lives the life. He likes to fight. He's one of them people where you're going to have to render him unconscious to stop him. I'm telling you, he will be in absolute thrillers. Believe me, right? So next time he fights, watch him. I'm telling you now, he's a dangerous motherfucker. Right, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on the commentary from DAZN. Do you agree with my assessment of Mike Costello? Do you think I'm being a bit over the top? Let me know your thoughts on Katie Taylor. Did she win the fight comfortably? Should it have been a draw? Will there be a trilogy? Like, comment, subscribe, let me know.